One more time, folks. Let's give it up for Millennial Mike, who strongly suggested we reach out and get talk to new real estate investors. And we're talking to Mark Oshiro, number three. I think I've got six more lined up. So, Mark, how you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me on. This is exciting.
I look forward to this, man. Do me a favor, just tell the world who you are, what you do, where you're at, all of that. Give your current picture, and we'll get into your real estate journey.
All right. I'm a full-time firefighter in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm also a realtor with Remax Honolulu. Do property management, sales, and just also trying to build a YouTube channel and tell people about my story and all the mistakes I've made and how this channel has had a big influence on what I'm trying to do out there.
Oh, I appreciate that. So, where does your real estate portfolio sit today, December 2023?
Okay, so I do have property in Honolulu, Hawaii, but it's my primary residence. I do have a small single tenant commercial space. This is part of family investment. But most of my properties are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
So
wow. All right.
about, yeah, about 5,000 miles away.
All right.
Um, and I've also invested in a syndication, and I don't know if you want to go down that route, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a plan. Let's talk about all of that. So, first, let's talk about Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
Did you have family? Why Pittsburgh, right? You got lots of markets between Honolulu and Pittsburgh. Why Pittsburgh?
The biggest thing for me was, I'm really a big believer now in, live where you want, but invest where the numbers make sense. And, as great as real estate is in Honolulu, Hawaii, it appreciates very well. It's very stable. As you would say in the beginning, you're probably going to have an alligator.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so I honestly, my journey may have started, 15, 16 years ago, but I wouldn't consider myself an investor. I started with a condo.
Mm.
And so I had real estate. And it was only a few years ago where I really started realizing, like, man, it's, things don't cash flow here. You're waiting 30, 40 years for
Yeah,
appreciation, like how my parents did.
right.
And it can work, you can have a comfortable life. But then I realized that how risky I was being by relying on kind of one income. And as great as the
Right.
fire department is, the pension, I started looking elsewhere. And one of my friends was investing in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So yeah, so he made a lot of mistakes. So that made me feel a little comfortable jumping
Mm.
on with the systems he had.
So your buddy was in Pittsburgh years before you, I'm guessing, sounds like?
Not years, a few years, but he lives in Honolulu, Hawaii also, but
Oh,
he
okay.
had some connections there,
Mm.
family, and he started building a team out. And what I saw was, just like anybody, you get
Yeah,
started and you have your bumps and you make
yeah.
mistakes. So I was like, I'm gonna jump on board with what he's doing because he kind of made some mistakes already.
There you go. Well, okay, so you're looking at real estate, you get a buddy that's in Pittsburgh. Do you ever fly out there? Just curious.
You are gonna hate me for this, but I
Oh,
have
no.
not been there yet. I
Yeah, I
have,
don't like that so much.
yes. So, everyone, always talks about it. And I say, yeah, that's the one thing, if I ever got the opportunity to be on your channel, you are going to frown upon it and probably, say that is not the smartest thing to do. And I'll admit it, it's not, there's a lot of things that I would do differently if I was to start over. So I'm glad I started. I
Sure.
wish I came across your channel, maybe a few years earlier, and it would have saved me a lot of headaches. But
Yeah.
getting started, I think, is the most
No,
important
I,
thing.
absolutely. So I always like going back to the first deal. So do you remember what the first deal was when you plunked down some money in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. So actually, I was pretty fortunate. I was kind of always a saver. And as we kind of touched on, prices in Hawaii do appreciate well. So I was sitting on a lot of equity, and but it was kind of dead equity, right? Or, well, if you want to go back, I was equity that I wasn't using the right way. I was, buying toys and buying,
Oh, no.
yeah. So like I said, I've done every mistake in the book, and
Yeah,
there were
man.
so many, yeah. But anyway, so I was sitting on equity. I don't. COVID was a rough time for a lot of people.
Sure.
Had some relationship issues, and once me and my son's mom split up. So my friend that was investing, he was like, hey, you should look into this, I cash flow this. So that's what got me looking into the Pittsburgh market. So I had equity. And so I wanted to use that to buy all cash in the beginning, kind of
Oh,
get
okay.
my feet wet, kind of test the waters. And like I've talked to Dion and Millennium, I think the first few really tricked me though. Like they went
Ah.
so smoothly, and that's why,
Oh, I'm sensing a
yeah,
problem already.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's why Dion always talks about how I always tell people I scaled too quickly, and
Ah,
I scaled too quickly, and I don't advise it. I emptied out all my retirement accounts,
mm,
and I went all in. And I mean, I'm glad I did it, but there are a lot of mistakes along the way. But so that first property, I bought all cash. My plan was to do a cash out refinance
okay.
in 6 months. But I also found out you can do if you purchase all cash, you can basically start the refinance process right off the bat if you do purchase a property all
Okay.
cash. So
So,
that's
so was it a house, a unit? So what was?
yes. So I have 14 single family homes in Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and all cash flowing, and no alligators, and but yeah.
All right. So you buy the first, at least the first couple cash. You end up putting debt on it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so that's kind of another part of my journey is so especially in Hawaii, my debt to income already owning a primary residence here is
Mm,
fairly high and
yeah.
challenging. So that got me wondering, like, how do people scale? Like, how do people keep investing when possibly they live in a high cost of living area? And that led me down the whole kind of non-QM DSCR lending.
DSCR. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that really opened up my world. But at the same time, that also allowed me to scale maybe a little
Sure.
quicker than I should have.
All right.
But for me in the beginning of my journey, I just thought, you go to a regular bank around in the neighborhood around the corner, and that's who you get a
That's how it
loan
works,
from.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was this whole lending world that you talk about out there.
Yeah.
There's the real estate side, but there's also a lending world out there. And that just
Yeah.
blew my mind.
There you go. Yeah, there really are two lending. There's two different markets you got to track lending in the real estate world. So that's cool. So when you ultimately go back to refi the first property, I don't know how conservative, like do you do 70% LTV, 80, 50? Do you remember?
Yeah, so the first few, because I was considered a new investor out of state, the
Sure.
requirements were, 70%.
Okay.
So, a little
Makes
bit,
sense.
but from after the first few, the lenders look at you a little differently. So everything after that was 80%.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. All the way to 80. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. All right. So let's get to the elephant in the room. You've already mentioned it a few times. You talked to Dion and Mike about scaling too fast. What happened?
Well, like they say, right? I didn't plan well, what I thought planning well for reserves. And problems happen. And I found a lot of great deals during the winter time. So, like you always talk about motivated sellers, and I found a lot of great deals. However, coming from Hawaii, I didn't realize maybe how cold Pittsburgh is in the
Yeah.
winter months.
Frozen pipes, snow on the
Frozen.
roof. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when they talk about winterizing your property, I'm like, what are you
What
talking
do you
about?
mean winterizing
Yeah.
your property? What is that?
Or even just finding tenants.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it took a lot longer to find tenants in some areas. And like I said, certain things you have maintenance expenses that might pop up. So it took longer than I expected,
Okay.
and definitely affected my reserves a lot more than I was planning on.
Okay.
So I kind of took two steps back, I guess, in a sense, and to try and start moving forward again. So that's kind of where I'm at. And yeah.
So I'm trying to put this picture together in my head. So it sounds like uh, your early steps into Pittsburgh were positive. At some point, you go, some is good, more must be better.
Yes.
You empty your retirement account. You go. I mean, how many do you buy in a 6 month period? What was the most you picked up?
Ooh, 10. So in that
Oh,
process also, I did a 1031 from my so I have a primary residence in Hawaii now, but I had a condo earlier.
Right, right,
And
right, right, right.
I 1031 that, and even
Oh,
that, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently
okay.
during a 1031.
Sure.
But yeah, so 10,
That's a lot. That's a lot.
oh
Those
yeah.
are 10. Now, these are all buy and holds, right? 10 buy and
Yes,
holds.
all buy and hold.
Wow. I'm a pretty active buyer. I never bought
Oh,
anywhere close to 10 properties in
and
6
I don't
months.
I don't recommend it. I mean, I don't,
All
yeah,
out of state, all out. Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Because the reason it's a problem for most people is, at least in my scenario, and you could disagree, agree, whatever you want. Usually when we get going, we have what I call the A team, right? My repair guys, my plumbers, my painters. I might have a B team for a couple of things, but I don't have 5 teams. And at some point when you have 10 projects, you can't have the A team everywhere. And the risk profile of this just mushroom clouds. That's all I see in this scenario. Is that what happened?
Most definitely. I mean,
Uh,
and that's why I like telling my story. For people that want to get started, that getting started is super important. And that's the hardest
oh
part.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
also, you got to have steps in process, and that's why they always talk about sometimes what is it, smooth is fast,
Yeah,
and yeah, but yeah,
something like that. That whatever
yeah,
that is, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
so if I really feel, if I took my time and didn't get so
I
excited about it, I would
yeah,
be way ahead.
the sum is good, the more is better. I know exactly where
Yes.
you are, and it's really funny because I'm 2.5 hours away from my market. I can't imagine being 5,000 miles away. We sometimes romanticize what we're doing, not realizing there's a repair guy and a painter and on the other side. They can't be in 10 places. They can't be in 5 places. And yeah, that could be hard. That could be a rough. So don't do
Yes.
that. Folks, don't buy
Yes.
10 houses in 6 months.
No, 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 no. Yeah. Take your time. You'll actually go faster, probably.
Oh, yeah, because again, when you're in 10 projects, you probably have longer vacancies, you probably have surprise break-ins, you probably have just all of these other variables mashing into each other at one time.
You don't have to tell me.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no. I
sorry.
mean, as I said, I like to be a reference, and that's why
Yeah.
I like to tell my story, and I hope I can help one person, and
Yeah.
someone not make the same mistakes that I've made.
Yeah, because again, if you go back and so let's finish the story. Are you through the pain today?
I am through the pain, but
Okay.
I also probably made other pains for myself,
All
which
right.
I don't,
Let's talk about those. What else? What
Okay.
else is going on?
Well, this would be, when sometimes when you get started, you have this vision of, man, I want 100 units. This is easy. I want so many doors. And I'm not saying not to do it, but I went down the whole LLC structure also, and asset protection. And I've just made a lot more work for myself on that side, and extra fees. And now I'm trying to figure out bookkeeping and how not to
Hmm.
commingle funds. And so, yeah.
Yeah, a lot, all that. Again, yeah, there's a lot of planning and prepping out there, and there's a whole industry that sells this vision of of liability protection, but it's
Mhm.
also complexity creation.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a balance that every individual must make for themselves, for
Yes.
sure. Earlier you talked about a syndication. No
Mhm.
idea what was it? Are you in it? How's it going? Um,
Well, I'm in it. Everything probably went exactly how you talk about on your channel. So if you do
oh,
not,
dude, sorry.
no, no, I went in it in the view that I see it as an end game.
Yep.
Definitely, it is passive, and I wanted to get some experience, see if I like it,
Mhm.
and that it is what it is. I wouldn't say I've lost my investment money yet,
Okay.
but the
So when
writing
did you
might.
get in? What year or month?
Um, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2021, early
All right, so
2020.
2022 one. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to guess, right? You get in, it's a
Mhm,
value add opportunity.
mhm,
You probably get some distributions
mhm,
probably through much of 22. At
mhm,
some point, they stop. I'm going to guess, but hope I'm wrong. You've already had a capital call.
mhm.
How am I doing so far?
Like I said, it has gone exactly as you talk about on your channel, and that is why like I said, I wish I came across your channel a few years earlier, but it has gone pretty much exactly as you said. Distribution. It almost sold, so we almost would have exited, making a great return. It
Right.
fell through.
Yeah.
And then rates took off as no one expected, and a lot of operators were caught, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're at right now. And yeah, definitely, I mean, that's one of the things. Syndications can be great, but you give up a lot of control.
Sure.
And so I'm part of a mastermind too, and a lot of people that were at the mastermind last year, the retreat, we were talking, and everyone was like, kind of like what you said, everyone got lazy. Money was free, money was cheap.
Yeah.
And people maybe weren't paying as much attention to the pro formas as they should be. And we're like, oh, I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to invest in this because everybody was making money. And that's kind of what happened. And luckily, I only did one.
Yeah.
I
No,
know
that's
others that have done many.
me too.
But yeah, it was a learning for
Okay.
me. And yeah.
So let's kind of wrap this up for folks that are watching this. Do you recommend, especially if you're in Honolulu, Mountain View, do you recommend out of area, out of state investing for those folks that are in no cash flow cities?
I highly recommend it. And maybe that's why I may not be the most effective realtor in Hawaii, because I'm very big
Yeah.
on making your money work for you. And I get sometimes buying a home has for different reasons.
Yeah. There's a totally like if it's an owner occ, you're going to be there. You want your kids to go to that school. That's not a cash flow decision. That's a life decision.
Exact. But let me just throw this example out there. So, for example, and you might see me on X, and I want to get into a lot of
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people. But so, for example, if I were to rent the home that I currently live in right now,
Yeah.
at max, I'd be paying maybe 4,500 rent a month
Okay.
max.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
I were to try and buy this home right now and live in it, I would be looking at close to, with 20% down, I'd be looking at close to an $8,000 payment.
Woo!
Yeah.
That,
So,
that's painful.
and that's why I try to tell people, it's sometimes you have to put your money where it's going to make money, and you can always buy later. Or
Yeah.
right, it doesn't mean home ownership has to be your primary residence.
Yes, I agree.
So, I definitely, but like you're saying, it is a lifestyle decision, and it works for some people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. I think there's a lot to be said for out of area or out of state investing. So that makes a ton of sense. Um, what would you tell somebody getting started, right? That's got the bug. What are some of your like 1, 2, 3 recommendations to make sure that first deal has the best chance of success?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you just got to get involved, get, networking, be around other people that are doing it, talk to other people, see people how they're doing, and I think the hardest thing is people see all these, social media people talking about all the top 5 markets, and these are the markets to invest in. And I think you touch on it a lot too, but every market, someone is making it work. Someone is making money
Agreed.
there.
Agreed.
So you have to find where you're most comfortable, or where you have a team, like you would say, or you have connections. And I
Yes.
think that's the number one thing, is just how to get started, is be around people that are doing it, or like you always say, if you're either you have a family member there or some connection to that area if you're going to go out of state. And then the next thing would be definitely, I think, and I know you're not going to agree with this completely. Um, and you, like I said, always doing great deals is super important. I look at it maybe a little bit differently, in a sense where I want a solid base hit deal, because I
Mm,
think I've learned so much more after just getting started.
okay.
And I think, like, a great deal is super important. However, I almost see it kind of like waiting for that right partner in a marriage. And you're not gonna, you know, if you don't date or if you don't go out and meet other people, you might be sitting there the rest of your life waiting for that perfect one to come along. Whereas if you date, you know, meet other people, you're going to see what you like, what you don't like, where your weaknesses might be, where your strengths might be. And I think that's super important in just getting started. And then, like you said, not doing an alligator, but finding a good deal, solid deal, and then building off of that.
Yeah. And then as we kind of wrap this up, Mark, where do you go from here? You've been in the game a while. You've done a lot of things. What's the next 3 to 5 years kind of look like? Do you have a plan for any of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to beat Millennial Mike to retirement. That's my
Yes,
number one goal.
beat him.
That, you know, because us fire guys definitely,
You got
you
to
know,
beat
have to
those
show
police
these
guys.
police. Yeah, you know, come on. So, but that's my goal. But I
I
don't
love
think I
that. I love
will.
that.
I don't think I will, just because he is definitely has a little more hunger to him than me. I think
You
I
know what?
fall.
You know what, Mark? We got to get him married. That'll change the equation.
Oh, well, I don't know if me and him are kind of in the same boat, you know, single dads.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm
yeah.
just teasing.
No, but I definitely feel as if I fall a little bit more into the Dion camp,
Okay.
where I thought I wanted this huge portfolio of
No.
100 doors, and then I realized, like, maybe 15, or what, you know, what, so many amount of
20,
doors is
22
is
is
enough.
enough.
And that's kind of where I am now, and that's why definitely I love your channel. And even Coach Carson, he's
Yeah,
another one that I don't have my books right now. I let some of the guys at the firehouse borrow it, but like that small and mighty investor mindset to me is kind of where I'm
I
at
agree.
now.
I agree.
And
I think Dion's got it right. I think Dion, if we can get everyone looking at what Dion did as the example, and what Millennial Mike's doing is the example,
mhm,
we win. If it's all about Lumberjack and Zuber doing all these, that's that's 20 some odd years. Let's get people to see what's possible in 5, 7, 8 years. It's if you want to get bigger after that, so be it. But yeah,
yes,
20 units is more than enough for most people.
yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think the hardest part for me though is, and I'm trying to get a lot of the younger guys in the firehouse thinking
Hmm.
differently, but it's just that pension is so attractive, and it
Yeah,
gets you caught up in wanting to work, you know, 30
yeah,
years.
yeah.
And I never thought I'd want to retire from the firehouse early. I never thought that, but a lot of things just opened my eyes and realized that you can have a great, you know, 15-year career
Yeah.
and, you know, find something else to do. And I think my passion has kind of veered towards real
More.
estate, and yeah, and helping others, and yeah.
Yeah, I think people need to look at their W-2 or their job as the key to financial freedom and not a prison. You're not held to it. It's something I've just come to appreciate after talking to Dr. Mike and Anna and others. Mark, where can people find you? Because you put out a lot of great stuff. We interact on X all the time. You have a YouTube channel. What is all that?
So I have to give credit to Millennial Mike, but
Oh,
he did
stop it.
he did
Stop.
come up with the name Financial Firefighter, and the fire kind of represents the financial independent retire early community. But I have to give him credit that he did come up with it. He's very creative,
Yes,
so
he
I'll give
is.
him his props. But yeah, I'm kind of all over social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X. But yeah, Financial Firefighter. And you know, if you want to talk about Pittsburgh, you know, Hawaii real estate, yeah, reach out. I could do this all day.
There you go. Well, Mark, you've been amazing. Thank you for doing this. This video will be up tomorrow, probably 5 or 7 o'clock. So it'll be up very soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Mhm.